I'm Tom Reinhart, Deputy Director for Architecture here at George Washington's Mount Vernon. And we're standing here in front of the mansion on the east lawn. George Washington's home is really one of the most iconic and well-recognized buildings in the world. But in some ways it was a rather atypical gentry home for 18th century Virginia, whereas George Washington's peers in his class were building large brick homes. Washington chose to build a large frame home, built entirely of wood, except for the chimneys and foundation. And the reason why he probably did this was that he inherited the very core of Mount Vernon from his brother, who inherited it from his father. And it was his father, Augustine Washington, who built the original center section of the house in 1735. Lawrence inherited that house and expanded it. And then when George Washington inherited that house from his stepbrother Lawrence, he went ahead and increased the size of the house in the 1750s and then went on to build it even larger in the 1770s. So it's probably his desire to preserve the very core of his family's dwelling that inspired him to keep it a frame house and not move into creating a large brick house like his peers. As we mentioned earlier, Mount Vernon is actually made of wood, but Washington chose for it to have the appearance of stone, and he accomplished this by using a technique known as rustication. The wooden siding boards are cut to appear that they are stone blocks. From a distance, this is very convincing. Up close, he carried off that illusion even further by using a technique known as sand casting. While the paint on the wooden boards is still wet, sand is thrown at it, it sticks to it, so that when you're up close, until you're actually touching it, it really has the appearance that the house is made out of stone. This is a technique he probably was exposed to on a trip to New England in the mid-1750s, because when he comes back from that trip, he enlarges Mount Vernon for the first time, and he uses this technique of rustication on the house. We're standing on the circle on the west side of the mansion. The mansion is executed in the Georgian style of architecture, which was the prevalent architectural style of the 18th century in America. The Georgian architecture emphasizes symmetry on the exterior of a building. And when Washington did his design drawing for the last expansion campaign that he undertook in the mid-1770s, he drew a Mount Vernon that was completely symmetrical. But if you look over my shoulder, you'll see that we have anything but a symmetrical Mount Vernon. The front door is not in alignment with the pediment, nor with the cupola, which is shifted several feet to the south. One of the reasons why, in practice, Mount Vernon didn't turn out to meet Washington's desire was that the location of the stair necessitated the shift of the door to the north. But Washington did value symmetry to such a large extent that he went to the time and labor and expense to create two false windows in the northern bay, which is where the new room is. The new room is a 1.5-story room on the interior, fitted into a 2-story section of the house. So those windows are actually open onto dead space between the third floor and the ceiling of the new room. But they have working sash with glass, and they're boarded up from the inside. So this is a real practical expression of a desire to hit all the characteristics which were key to the architectural style that Washington executed the mansion in. The fact that Mount Vernon is a wood frame structure is not the only thing that makes it unusual for a Virginia gentry house. The house incorporates several features that in themselves are unusual or even unique. And it's important to remember that Washington didn't hire an architect to design his house. He himself was the architect. He worked directly with the builders and the craftsmen who executed it. He picked the designs, and he designed all of the iconic features of the house. The cupola off the center, the roof of the house, the long piazza, which unifies the east front of the house, and the pediment on the west front of the house. These were all things that Washington himself incorporated into his home. But just as he was a man of vision, he was always a man of practicality as well. So each of these features serves a very practical purpose in the overall functioning of the house. The cupola serves as a ventilator. When the windows of the cupola were opened and it would the hot air, which would rise up through the staircase of the house, would exit, and cooler air would be pulled in through the windows of the lower floors. The piazza, of course, gave shade to the east side of the house, but it also gave a great place to enjoy the Potomac vista, which Washington loved so much. The pediment on the west front serves as a dormer and creates a large storage closet up on the 3rd floor. So, as always, with everything Washington did, well thought out, very practical, but also visionary.